It is 20 minutes before 9 here on Morning Live, our special State of the Nation broadcast that, of course, the morning of the State of the Nation, there in your shot, you can see that red carpet. I think that red carpet there on the steps behind me, waiting this evening for the new president of South Africa. It's going to look a little bit different, though, because there don't necessarily be a deputy president, because he was the deputy president. So you'll have your speakers and you'll have the president, but who else will be on that podium is a mystery to me. Maybe someone else can answer that for me. I'm not sure. But we're in what I feel a bit of uncharted territory right now, that the State of the Nation is being held so soon after the resignation of a president. So anyway, I've got all the unions now represented. Well, not all of them, but I suppose some of them, and the big guys with me, the big guns getting their word in. First, I've got Dennis George from Fiducia next to me. Dennis, good to see you. Andre Adams from SAFTU, and of course Tony Ironrock of COSATU. Gentlemen, thank you very, very much for being with us here on the program. And I just want to start off by getting a reaction from all of you about, the new president of South Africa. He used to be a union man. How are you feeling now?
No, I think we welcome from our side that Cyril has been sworn in as president for the Republic. We've been working with him on the national minimum wages and on other issues of the drafting of the Constitution, but also in making sure that we can start to address some issues. So it will be for us a situation that business and labor and government will hit the ground sort of running, because we've got a huge amount of challenges. And Cyril cannot do all these things on its own.
Yeah.
And a person mustn't also be in an illusion to think that the president is perfect. There's nobody that is perfect. I think we are much more better if we strengthen Team South Africa and try to then mobilize the nation around one vision and around one particular program, so that we can deal with poverty, unemployment and inequality, but also at the same time making special progress for the youth, because our young people are in serious problems. We want to see them either in universities or in FET colleges or in technicons, or starting their own businesses or to be employment, and that's very critical for us.
Yeah, it certainly is, and not, as you say, we shouldn't be pinning our hopes on just one man, because it takes a team to run a country. Now, Andre, let's get your perspective. You're not as optimistic as perhaps your colleagues next to you. How are you feeling, though, after the events of this week?
Well, we welcome the resignation of Zuma, but we also are cautious that we don't want to create personality cults, personally, and we must remember Zuma is a creation of the ANC, not the ANC creation of Zuma, which means, in effect, is that the policies of the organization that caused the disaster we're in today. So whether you're changing the ANC president doesn't change the policies that Zuma has been implementing. And Cyril has been implementing the neoliberal agenda as deputy president as well. He's in actual fact part of the problem. In the 9 years that they've been here, he hasn't raised anything while Zuma was stealing. Only in the last year when he was canvassing for elections, then he put up his hand. But he was silent and complicit in Zuma stealing and looting the state. So we are clear that we don't have any hopes that there's going to be a change of path of the neoliberal agenda, because it's the policy of the ANC. It's not an individual. He's not implementing his own policies. We've seen his role he's played in the 3,500 rand minimum wage. That's a slave wage. That's not a living wage. How can you? He's shown his hand in terms of the amendments to the labor laws, which are now going to impact on our right to strike, is going to be negatively impacted on. So there's clear indications that he's not pro-working class. It's quite clear he's not pro-working class. This is the man that spends 20 million rand on a buffalo or on a bull. He's a man that buys shares in McDonald's. The imperialistic, the poster for imperialism, McDonald's, who's renowned worldwide for exploiting workers. So this clearly shows his indication to working class. So we don't have any hopes that the conditions for the working class is going to improve under Cyril. Okay. Because, we're quite clear it is not an individual, it's the ANC. We're sitting with the ANC problem.
All right. Okay, Andre, thank you for your opinions here on the program. Tony, these are strong words, and yet there is a there's a lot of truth in what's being spoken there by Andre. I mean, do you feel similar, or are you perhaps a little bit more optimistic?
We welcome the election of Cyril. He's probably the one person who could have galvanized the ANC in the country to get rid of Zuma and the corruption. And that in itself is a massive achievement. In today's society, we all have as many opinions as there are people around. It's those people who get things done. Cyril got the constitution done. He got the minimum wage put in place that 20 years before nobody was able to achieve. So it's that ability to progressively move the society forward that's the important characteristic of a leadership. There are many people, armchair critics, that haven't done anything that would have something to say about criticizing him. We think he's distinguished himself in all of the positions he's occupied. Certainly in the union movement, in the 80s and 90s, led the biggest strike, formed the backbone of COSATU. In the business, he's asserted himself. There are some problems with what happened. And then in government, he's been able to survive in government, ascend to the leadership, and now he must unite the team, because it's not about individuals. It's not about his view alone. The promise of the ANC is the Freedom Charter. That's why we still support the ANC, and we've now got to ensure that we implement the Liberation Promise. We've seen Cyril move in that direction, and the clearest indication yet of a leader in South Africa committed to those things. So that's where we want to go. We think we're in a much better position than we were a week ago, and we think we can only go forward. But we've got to work together as all of the labor movements, as all of society, and as all of business, along with government, to make this country work, to root out corruption and ensure that the rest of the corruptees who are left, that they end up in jail.
Yeah, I mean, I just on a closing note, I mean, there's a lot of talk of the mining charter, and of course Ramaphosa comes from a mining background, mining unions. I mean, there's talk that he very well may also scrap this mining charter that so many people are vehemently against. I don't know who wants to.
Well, we've got to intervene in what's happening in the mining industry. All of these industries need to be looked at urgently. But so the question of what's happening at land reform, what's happening in the bargaining councils for workers, the minimum wage, and its implementation of the 1st of May, he's got to focus on making sure that all those promises of government are realized as a matter of urgency.
All right, we'll leave it there. Dennis, do you want to just add your very quickly?
Look, I mean, from our side, Cyril have demonstrated his ability and his knowledge and research abilities with the National Development Plan. We might not agree with everything, but that is something that we must focus on implementation, because we've got the responsibility to make a difference in the lives of our people, and that's what is most important.
All right, Dennis, thank you. Andre?
I just need to make one point.
Quick, 10 seconds.
A very quick point is that if we are saying that Cyril has done so well, why is it that South Africa is now is the highest unequal society? We got the extinction of being the most unequal society in the world. Yeah. And yet Cyril's been in government for the last 5 years. That's why the point we're making, it's an ANC problem. They put us into poverty. Poverty has increased in the 24 years. Unemployment has increased in the 24 years of ANC rule. Yeah. So you must not be mistaken that it's going to be changed by one individual overnight.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's give it a chance. Let's give it a chance. See how it goes. Andre, thank you for your views. Dennis, of course, always a pleasure. And Tony, thank you very, very much for your opinions. We're going to take a break. We're going to end off this broadcast by speaking to some students and the youth. I can see them there in the corner of my eye. I'm looking forward to a conversation with them. Let's see how they're feeling on the eve of this new era in South Africa's history. Do stay tuned.